Wow, we are at the end of our vlog series, Psychic Abilities, Your Sixth Sense, the Clairs. And today I'm going to talk about why psychic abilities matter, especially in this time, in 2025. So hello, beautiful souls. I'm Claudia Cauterucci. I am the host of the Heaven on Earth podcast. I'm also a psychotherapist in my day life. I am the creator and the founder of the Dynamic Re-Evolution curriculum, and now I'm making it into a university. Get more info on that later. So let's just jump right into this vlog series, The Clairs. When we hear the word psychic, most people think tarot cards or being able to see the future. But psychic actually, in the way that I want to teach it, is something way more familiar, day to day, because my whole thing is we bring heaven to earth. We make things practical, portable, usable. For example, the burgeoning or torturous silence after a bully has been verbally abusive. The whole room goes quiet. That bully can be a parent. The unabashed, demeaning disregard of a narcissist at work. The toxic atmosphere around a family member, around someone you know quite well, around someone in a group of friends that you've known since your childhood, that makes everyone feel uncomfortable, a little icked out, but no one says anything. No one says a word. How about the sexual insinuation from a doctor or a coach or a spiritual guide, like a priest, that hangs in the air? So what do they all have in common? They have in common that the energy around them, the frequency around them changes. But it's full, it's replete with data, usually, mostly with discomfort, with ick, with gross, with scary. And the other psychic response is the silence, because in the silence there's data too. I'm afraid, I can't speak up, I'll be the outsider if I do. All of that conversation is going on. Sometimes it's even like the shock of, did you just say that? Did you just say that? Deer in headlights, the haze, the freeze. This is all a psychic dialogue, psychic conversation. And then you look around and you're like, but no one else is saying anything. All of it is psychic. That silence, that's thick with shock, disbelief, fear, feels illogical. And then followed by the trauma responses. Usually it's flight, it's fawn, or it's freeze. Most people don't fight it because they're sort of like frozen. All of that is psychic. It's invisible, but it's there, hanging, dripping in the energetic field that feels like the monster on the movie Aliens, when it would open its mouth and you could see just the saliva dripping slowly. It's like a gooey saliva from its mouth. And I know that sounds dramatic, but it's not half as dramatic as what it feels like in those moments. That's what it feels like to be around that predatory sense. Remember the scene where the alien was like right close to her? Well, that is what a predator feels like. And that is psychic conversation. It is threatening. Those are good everyday examples. These are psychic interactions. They are discomforts, they are intrusions, they are invasions that go unspoken because they are unseen. And that's where we are fooled. We think that because they are invisible, they're not happening. And by the time they become visible, they're already dangerous. By the time they are spoken, by the time they are in the material world, in the spoken world, they're already dangerous. By the way, there's the good psychic conversation where you know that you know that you know, claircognizance, you feel it, clairsentience, that someone has a crush on you and doesn't know how to say it. That someone is proud of you, that someone is impressed by you, someone loves you, but has never said it. That's a psychic conversation. This is why we must become psychically literate. And I know that's not a phrase that's used. It's a Cloudism, and I'm giving it to you with this vlog series and with the book, The Empath Leader. It's so that we know how to name what we feel, validate what we sense, and so we know how to interrupt harm before it takes root. I'll give you a very easy day-to-day example. Sometimes someone might commit to something with you, whether that's a work endeavor, whether that's dating, whether that's a friend who says, hey, let's go out, let's do this on Friday. I'll just take a work endeavor. And they've said, I want to do this with you, let's do it, let's do this project. And yet every time you find a time to do it, there's a cancellation, or there's a I forgot, or there's a like, hey, I'm over here. So there's always something that's more priority. And by the way, that's not bad. But if you can come to the point where you can psychically read that, like they're not into this, they're not committed, they ghost me when it comes to dating, you can speak to it. You can be the courageous one who speaks to it, who says, you know what? I can feel this happening. That's okay. It looks like you have priorities somewhere else, but this is what I need to do for me. And that can all be done in great respect, integrity, and kindness. But in order to do that, you have to validate your own psychic reading of the situation in order to speak to it kindly and not react and not be emotionally dysregulated by that and not go through all the other wounds that we usually go through. Imagine if we could do that in dating all the time. It'd be amazing. Much of the current chaos that's happening outside right now, the confusion, polarization, and exploitation. It's not just social or political, it's psychic. That's where it begins. Manipulation starts way before in the psychic field, before it hits the actual material field. And you could see my podcast on the multiple dimensions that we live in all the time as humans every day. Think of grooming, for example. When a child is getting groomed, it begins with charm, control. When someone's trying to control you, a parent, a lover, a narcissist, it can start with a smile. It could start with seduction, and that's psychic. Disempowerment, which is also a psychic feeling, begins with the silence of those who feel, they can clairsentiently feel the wrongness of what's happening, but they don't trust themselves, or they don't trust that they're not going to be hurt if they speak up. And hurt can mean that they're just excluded, that friends or family say, why are you speaking up about that? We just pretend none of that exists. When we can't read that invisible data, we override ourselves. We bypass ourselves. We take ourselves out of the equation. That might look like freezing. It might look like rationalizing, do a lot of mental work. Because sometimes, have you ever heard people say, I gaslit myself? I kept saying I wasn't in love, and I was in love. And it's because you're getting really mental. You're not dropping in. And so that means that we stay silent. We stay silent around the unspeakable, around the wrong things that we see, but sometimes we stay silent around our hearts, around the good things, around the beautiful things, the tendernesses that we want to share. So here's a caveat, okay? Here's a caveat. If you grew up in a household or in a family where silence was the code, was the actual language, or in a household where emotions were suppressed, or super volatile, explosions everywhere. Watch my podcast episode on Are You Emotional, but Not Emotional Intelligent? Let's say volatility was always around the corner. Your psychic abilities probably got heightened, believe it or not. For example, empaths and highly sensitives, this is especially true for you. And there is a conversation about whether that was chicken or egg. Did it make you into an empath or a highly sensitive, or were you born an empath and a highly sensitive, and so it made you more hypervigilant? You learned, or you were forced to learn, to scan the environment all the time. Yes, that can show up as hypervigilance, traumatic hypervigilance, because you were waiting to see what was happening or what was going to happen, that whole when is the other shoe going to drop vibe. You were like reading and sniffing and feeling rooms, and that became an exaggerated survival response. And now it can be validated, it can be understood, and actually specialized as a gift, which is the leader part in the Empath Leader book, is how do we take all of these abilities, skills, trauma responses, and make them into leadership and make it into a leadership prowess. Our wounds can become our gifts. What began as the need to harmonize environments, how to calm chaos, can be turbocharged into your clairs. And so now it's a skill, it's an ability. And yes, it's your superpower. Your clairs, knowing, seeing, feeling, sensing, hearing, are not liabilities. They're both a defense system and a compass. Every time you trust that ick you get, instead of rationalizing it away, instead of saying everyone else accepts this, you rewrite history in miniature, but also you're changing your whole lineage. Because the all is in the small and the small is in the all. Each person who acknowledges and validates their subtle knowing cleanses a piece of the collective field. And if you saw my very last podcast, the one I dropped yesterday, I talk about being parts of the body. And so when we cleanse ourselves, we're actually cleansing a part of our collective body. So ground yourself, validate your intuition by grounding yourself. Take your breaths and then act from clarity, not fear, and you break the cycle and the psychic chain of silence. That's why it's such a big deal when people break the silence. It's such a big deal because it pops a huge bubble. And yes, what we're going to see is dripping in grossness, sometimes in evil, but we need to see it in these times. We need to see it in order to know how to handle it. So let's get practical, let's get portable, let's apply, as we always do, how to strengthen these senses. Because that's what you're saying. How do I do this? Number one, pause and notice. Meditation, getting quiet, going inside, the sacred pause. The PPPP, remember, pause gives you power, that gives you possibility, that gives you prowess. Prowess means power within the self, not power over anyone. That's what we're changing. We're not doing power over people. That's old school. That's not trending. Prowess is trending. So if something feels off, name it internally. Say to yourself, something just shifted. Number two, journal your hits. Track. I'm a big tracker. I talk about tracking. I'm annoying the way I talk about tracking. Track the times that your body knew something was off. Even if you didn't do anything to change it. Track the times you were like, wow, that red flag that I did feel was real. I knew that was going to happen. Track, journal all of those experiences so that when it shows up again, you're going to listen more. You're going to validate yourself. This builds self-trust. Ground daily. What does that mean? For empaths, it means being in your back body, leaning back, sitting in your body throne, doing cleansing breaths. You see me do cleansing breaths all the time where I get quiet, I clean out. I have a visual of cleaning out all my chakras. I always push my breaths into the bottom part of the body because I make the bottom part of my body. I visualize it getting heavier in order to ground me, anchor me in. So you want your root chakra to feel heavy and nice, your belonging. So then you can start saying, what do I know? What do I feel? What do I hear? Ground. Find allies, find groups, find like-minded people who believe in this, who've done it, who get it. Share what you're sensing. Validation from others in terms of these types of abilities and gifts, including this vlog series, really helps. Makes us think like, oh, I'm not crazy. It helps in cults. It helps in Families where there's abuse, it helps to know that other people will validate your experience. Ask yourself, this is number 5. After finding allies, number 5, ask yourself. Self-reflect, go inside and have a process of self-inquiry. That's what the dynamic meditation method is. You have a process of asking yourself, and that makes you very mindful. So ask yourself, what do I truly feel about this? What do I truly know? How about this one? If fear weren't present, what would I do? If fear weren't present, what would I do? So even if you don't do anything right now, if you're stuck in a house where there's abuse, ask yourself these questions. If you're married but feeling in love with someone else, ask yourself these questions. If you're crushing on someone and don't know what to say or keep thinking that they're just a friend, ask yourself these questions. Remember the triple D's from my book. Discover, discern, decide. And when we decide, it's an abundance code. So much happens. That's why indecisions feels like such a nauseating place. We can't find ourselves, we're confused, we're in the haze. When we decide, even when it's hard decisions that might feel painful, whew, the clarity is such a relief. And clarity always precedes right action. These invisible interactions shape our world more than we realize. So let's close this up. Listen, these invisible interactions, you see, I'm on a mission to show that we live with the visible and the invisible all the time, because the invisible shapes our world more than we realize. To meet these extraordinary times, we have to have extraordinary awareness. So psychic literacy isn't casual or light or luxurious even. It's not a luxury. It's a protection. It's strategic. It's leadership. And it's definitely evolution. We were born with these skills. For a long time, they were, people who had these abilities were seen as outliers, as on the edge of the village. Not anymore. Why? Why? Because we all have them. It's not them, it's all of us. Before we were born, the first thing we had was this language, this interconnected language. And so now it's just time to realize, oh, it's there. So let's study it. My whole thing, get a PhD on you. Let's get a PhD on humans and humanity. I explore this deeply in Chapter 6 and Chapter 7 of the Empath Leader book, Transforming Humanity's Algorithm. It was launched this July in 2025. And remember, engagement is activism. You're doing your part by liking, by sharing, by subscribing, by commenting. Let's be in conversation about this. That's my whole thing. And if you buy the book, I ask you, please, let's write a review. Let us know how we're doing. Let me know how we're doing, if this is something of interest to you. And let's blow a kiss to those algorithms, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create a new human algorithm. We want more people to validate what they're sensing and to bring light to what once was unseen. You are not imagining it. You, my friend, my soul tribe, are perceiving it. And that perception is your power. See you in the next vlog.